CMJ Entertainment, your one-stop shop for all your event needs. Whether it's a wedding, corporate gathering, or charity event, we've got you covered. Our professional event planners bring your vision to life with top-notch decor, lighting, and limos. And don't forget Toronto's premier MC. Book today at 416-414-8964 or visit us at cmjn.com.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Jump. Let me ask you one question, though. Where have you been? If this is your first time here, I got a question for you. You've been missing out on some great shows. So I'm going to wait. I'm going to make you sit back, relax, get some pen and some paper, because my show is all about jumping. I'm not talking about jumping up and down. I'm talking about jumping into greatness. I'm asking you to bring people on just like you and me and what they've done with their lives, how they've changed and how they took the chance and jumped. Now, I'm always telling you, go for it. Do a podcast, do this, do that. But then I realized I haven't really brought anybody on that can tell you really about podcasting, how they got started, where they are today. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think I brought the main person themselves to come on to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Josh.
Hey, thanks for having me, Charles.
How you doing, my friend?
Hey, having a great morning.
Good. So let's reel it back. Before we tell everybody who you are and what you do, give us some background about yourself. Born and raised, where are you from?
Man, so I actually was born and raised in Texas till I was about 16, and then I moved kind of all over the West, Rocky Mountain West. So I've lived in Idaho, Utah, Colorado, California, Hawaii, all over the place, and out of the country in a little bit of the time as well.
Nice. So growing up, what did the little man in you wanted to become? What did you see your dream becoming?
You know, I got asked this recently, and I was trying to remember, did I want to be a garbage man or whatever? I think I definitely did go through a garbage man phase, but I used to be into tennis when I was young and 60 pounds ago. And that I at one point thought maybe I'll be a tennis. I was all over the place, man. I didn't have a real solid direction, and I didn't know until I was in university really what I had a goal to do, which was once I started learning how to learn some programming and realized I really liked, building websites, building applications and things like that.
So then you just started off. Do you remember your first job, like your first real paying job?
Yeah. I worked in a mailroom, stuffing envelopes at my dad's workplace where he worked. So I was, started at the bottom and didn't work my way up.
Oh, and I always ask everybody, what did you learn from that? What was your first job? And what was the one thing you learned from that?
I think it just gave me, that was the first time I got a taste for if I put more time into this, I get more money. I remember wanting to work overtime and, all that stuff. And so it was just a good, first experience of, capitalism, I suppose.
So then when did the dream of being an entrepreneur come about?
As I mentioned, at university, I decided I wanted to do, build applications. Then I ended up getting a job. Just a mentor of mine said, hey, there's this company that's hiring for Python developers, which is the programming language I was into at the time. And he's like, you should apply. And I was like, oh, okay. I mean, that sounds cool. That's what I want to be doing. But it ended up being a startup company, which I didn't have any ambitions for at the time. But that got me. It was actually a company called Mahalo. It was in Los Angeles. It was run by a guy named Jason Calacanis, who he's now kind of a notable startup investor, runs different kind of, startup camps and things like that, and has one of the biggest podcasts about startups as well. And so that gave me there's just a lot of startup energy there in LA, and got me just excited about startups. And I thought kind of delusionally, hey, maybe I could do one myself because I know how to build the applications around it. But there's a lot more to it. I've since learned.
So here's my one thing. I'm learning that you're goal-getting and stuff, but I always ask my guests to tell my listeners, what's your one failure that you learned from? You know, you're going for it. You think you can do it. You started. Do you remember your one failure that you learned from?
Oh man, it's hard to pick one. I think, you know, I remember when I left that job, I stayed for almost 2 years, and then LA was just too big of a town for me. And I heard there was this startup ecosystem going off in Colorado, so I wanted to head that way. But he told me, well, when I was leaving, he's like, "Hey, you're gonna fall flat on your face if you try and build a company now." And I was like, at the time, I was like, "Oh, he's just mad that I'm leaving." He was totally right, but and I did. But the thing is, at least for me, that's what I needed to do. That's how I learned. That's how I figured out this is how you fail at it. Okay, let's try something else and see if you win. And by that I mean, I went through the Techstars. I got hired by Techstars to help them get their companies ready for demo day. And then after I was done with that program, I started with a couple of buddies. I call it a startup. We never really raised any money, never hit any traction or high growth or anything, but we had ambitions. And but it was in the music space, trying to help electronic musicians collaborate and create music together online, which music's really hard. It's a really hard to make money in. And anyway, we did, basically everything wrong. That project didn't work out at all. Ended up falling apart. There was hard feelings for a little while. Luckily, we've patched all that back up, but it was just fell flat on my face. But as I was pitching that company and going and doing, just talking to everybody I could about it, somebody said, "Hey, I don't know about musicians, but podcasters have this problem with their audio. Maybe there's a way you can help with that." And even at that time, we were like, yeah, podcasting's fine, but that's not our passion. And we just kind of put that to the side. And it wasn't even until a couple of years later that I decided to revisit that idea and interviewed some podcasters. Found out, sure enough, 80% of them have a remote guest. They were recording all using Skype at the time, and their quality was really poor. And I realized that with the technology that we had been learning about and working with on the music side, we could actually build something where you send a link to whoever you want to record with. It records them locally on their end, you locally on your end, and then we mix that together. You have a same room sound. And that was a really big pain point for podcasters at the time. And you could actually, the way we got the first 100 users was by going on Twitter and searching for people that were getting attacked by their audience because their quality of their podcast was so bad. They're like, "I'm unsubscribing. I can't, there's dropouts, there's robotic sounding voices. I can't listen to this." And that was kind of the way that taking this big step in the wrong direction ends up being a big step in the right direction in the end, if you follow your nose, I guess.
Well, let's not keep the audience waiting. I said to them in the beginning, maybe this man can help you with your podcast and do everything else. So let's just tell them right off the bat. Tell them who you are and what company you're from.
Yeah, I'm Josh Nielsen. I'm founder and CEO at Zencastr, Zencastr.com. We help, our entry to market, as I just mentioned, was helping podcasters record in really high quality. But now we've expanded to helping with distribution, audience growth, monetization, and kind of all of the pieces that you need to get into podcasting and find the success that you're after.
So here's the question. Weren't you kind of nervous jumping into a new industry?
Yeah, I mean, but I was also just desperate to find something that people would find value in. Like I've been working for years on different little projects, and I think our music startup got, I think we had like 30 or 40 registered people at the end of trying to get that off the ground. And I was just like, man, I'm really trying to find a niche here. And so I was a lot more worried about not finding something, about finding something that worked than like the nervousness of a new industry. It was actually exciting when I realized like, hey, there's a really big need here and the technology is just coming out to solve this problem and I know how to use it. Let's get in there and make it happen.
Do you remember your very first subscriber?
Yeah, I know. Well, I know exactly. Well, I'll say our first paying customer. I know,
Yeah.
the first subscriber was like me. I'm the first person in the registered user database, and then it's like my friends and stuff. But like, yeah, I know exactly who the first paid user was, and that was a pretty magical moment. Never forget that, because it was really, that was like, I think maybe the wildest thing was when we finally did turn on paid plans. It was after a couple of years of running the service for free. Seeing that like I could go to sleep at night and there would be money coming in as I'm asleep, or I'd be out at dinner and like money coming in while I'm just sitting around not doing anything productive. And I was like, wow, finally separated the time from the money. And yeah, it took me like an embarrassingly long amount of time to turn off the notification when a payment came in. I was addicted to that for a while.
You like to hear that little ding, ding,
yeah,
ding.
I like that.
See, that's what I want my audience to know, that it does take time, but when it does come in, I can see the joy on your face. I can see the smile on you. Like it worked. I've got it done. It worked. Like, tell everybody, did it work right off the bat? 2 months, 6 months, a year? How long did it take you?
So, I didn't have a track record. I didn't really even know how to go about raising money and all that. So I didn't take that route. I set it up so I could contract for other companies for 4 to 6 hours a day. And then the rest of the time I would work on Zencastr. So that meant two things. It was going to take a while because I wasn't able to put full time into it. But I also meant I had unlimited runway. I could take as long as I needed because I wasn't running out of money while I was doing it. And I cut a lot of corners in the beginning to make it so I could run it pretty cheaply. Like, we didn't store your files. You had to bring your own Dropbox account and plug that in. And, some other things to where, we had thousands of people actively using the site, and it was still only costing me like $300 or $400 a month to like manage all of the infrastructure costs. And so I was able to do that for it. And I did that for almost 2 years, partially because it was, as I mentioned, sort of pretty brand new technology. The browsers were just launching the abilities to like access the microphone and do fun stuff with audio. And it was still shifting a lot. They were changing that. Sometimes things would just break when they'd make an update. And so it needed a little bit of time to mature. And so that's sort of, and I just had never built the billing system until that point in time. And so that was, but it also was kind of ended up being a good thing because the market matured at the same time. And by the time I actually had it all working really well, that was when Serial and This American Life started getting 1 million downloads per episode. And a lot of eyes kind of came on the podcasting space. And we kind of entered this new era of kind of excitement in the podcasting space. And so then it was a really good time to have that product in that market and be ready to go with it.
So let me ask you this one question. What about podcasting makes you smile? So, you're a company that helps other podcasters, but what about the podcasting world, this industry, that makes you smile?
Well, it's all about the people, man. I mean, podcasting is obviously a very human-centric art form. It's all about, being a fly on a wall for these intimate conversations. And I've just found that podcasters are really fun, creative, ambitious people, and they're happy to get on and have a conversation. And that's been maybe the most fun part, is just getting to know the people in the space and being able to help the people in the space. There's a lot of podcasters out there that either that have hit one of the barriers of entry and need help getting to the next step. And our goal is just let's knock all of those down. Let's make it so that, just like you mentioned before the show, when you're doing radio, you just show up, you talk in the microphone, you leave, that's it. That's really our goal in the end. There's still a little bit of work we got to do to get there, but we've made a lot of huge strides. And more broadly, I look at our goal as a company. It started off as a vehicle to change my life and my family's life. Now we've set it up as a vehicle to change the lives of the people on our team. And we're also trying to figure out how do we also change the lives of the podcasters using our platform. And that really, when you talk to them, what do you want? What are you after? They want to find and grow their audience, and they want to make money, whether it's through their own business or monetizing the audience or whatever. And so that's where we've zoomed out to, is like, how do we actually, help the people that are creating and creating so much value in the ecosystem, really tap into that value and maybe even go full time, or at least make this a really profitable acquisition channel for your business, or whatever the goal is.
So here it is. Ready? Because this was my one pet peeve when I first started podcasting. Podcasting was podcasting. It's a listening device. You go on, you listen, you relax, you put the headphones on and everything. Then they started doing video podcasting and the blog podcasting. I'm like, stop. Coming from the radio world, I'm like, a podcast is something you listen to. Tell me your feelings about video podcasting compared to just traditional podcasting.
I gave up a while ago on trying to really define what a podcast is. I used to have strong ideas, like it's only a podcast if it's syndicated through RSS, or it's only a podcast if this and that. And now I'm like, look, people are just trying to do all kinds of different things with the content. And right now there's people that have a YouTube channel, they call it a podcast, even though they're not even syndicating through RSS. That's fine. It makes sense. And I think the what people are trying to do is find their audience wherever they're at, and that's what you should be doing. And so that's what we're trying to help with as well. Is we now help people not only syndicate to all the podcast platforms and the directories, but to YouTube, to Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. And that's not technically a podcast, right? But who cares in the end? If your voice and your message is getting to the right people on the right platforms, I think that's what people really care about.
That's what they want to listen. That's what you want to hear. Gotcha. All right, let's have some fun with you, my friend. It's now time for a rapid fire. My friend, you get to choose your own rapid fire questions. But here it is. You only got 2 minutes on the clock, and you can elaborate on your questions. But remember, you got to get through all of them within the 2 minutes. So I'm going to ask you A, B, C, or D. Which questions would you want for rapid fire?
Oh, sight unseen. Just pick a letter.
Just pick a letter, buddy.
All right. I feel like I'm on a game show. Is this going to be okay? Let's go with B.
B. All right. 2 minutes starts on the clock when I ask you first question. What is the simplest way to make you smile?
Well, if you ask my daughter, it's tickling my feet.
Who is your celebrity crush?
Oh, when I was in high school, I had pictures of Natalie Imbruglia put on the back of like my like student ID card, and I just heard that song Broken or whatever it is yesterday. So there's that one.
All right, what did you recently learn?
Oh man, right now I'm trying to learn a lot more about social media marketing and just how to actually play into those algorithms. And it's tough. They say like you got to post like 5 to 10 times a day across 8 different platforms. It's like, wow, that's a lot.
Yeah. Do you remember your first kiss?
I do.
What makes you nervous? Stay with us. We'll be right back.
We are happy to support Charles. Welcome to Immigrant Women in Business, where cultures collide and dreams thrive. At IWB, we connect diverse backgrounds, foster leadership, and drive economic growth. Our members break barriers, build bridges, and create success stories. Join us at IWB and be part of a movement that celebrates empowerment, creativity, and business excellence. Visit our website today. Together, we're stronger. Now back to the jump.
My first kiss. No, these days, I actually have a pretty significant like social anxiety, and it's part of the reason why I've crafted a business where I can do everything kind of remotely from home. I don't like being around too many people and like going to the mall. not my thing. So yeah, I still get a little bit of that.
All right. What's the best technology out today?
Well, aside from the innovative technology we're building at Zencastr, I'm pretty excited about, I think the talk of the day has been AI and like Chat GPT and all that stuff. And we're actually plugging some of that into our business to help with our product. But just seeing that instantly, everybody's using it and for like all kinds of stuff. It's pretty amazing. Like you can send it a picture of your website and ask it how to optimize your UI. And it's just pretty amazing.
Social media or hanging out?
If in small groups of people, I like to hang out. If big groups of people, I'll say on the social media.
What's the one thing that you would change about your life right now?
I wish I was a morning person. I have not figured out how to solve that problem, but.
And I'm going to throw in a bonus question right now. If you can change the podcast world and do anything to change either the algorithm or change the way the people do it, what would you want to change and say this would fix everything right now?
I really think one of the biggest problems right now is discovery and audience growth, helping the audience find you and helping you find the audience. Everything else is downhill from that, monetization and success and all that. And so that's the problem. What the solution is, we're working on some things, but I really think that's the big thing that needs to be solved.
There you go. You made it through rapid fire, my friend. So let's talk about that one point too, because as a podcaster, when I was on the radio, I just talk. People tune into a switch. Thousands of people can hear my voice because they're just tuning into a dial. But it's not the same thing for a podcast. And as a business owner, trying to, people to find you, give us a couple of key ways you think people can find you and how that works out.
Well, part of the reason why a lot of people are switching to video podcasting is because that gives you content that's a lot more engaging on other platforms. For instance, if you post a 35-minute long audio file on Twitter, nobody's going to stop and listen to that when they're scrolling through their feed. However, if you have audio and video and a headline and captions, and you've got a clip that's 2 to 5 minutes long, maybe even shorter than that, now you've got something that it can be engaging on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, all these different places, and then get them into your content and then bring them back into becoming subscribers or driving them down your marketing funnel, whatever it may be. And so we're finding that people that are doing that are growing, at a minimum, like 5 times faster than they would otherwise. Like just recently as I mentioned, we have a tool that helps people find the right clips that are going to be engaging and get them formatted and everything. And we've started using that. One of our team members is using it for he's got a podcast for veterans, and he was getting about 500 views a month or listens a month on his podcast. And after he started using a clipping tool and getting them out on different social platforms, last I checked, he'd had like 40,000 views in like the 6-week period of time that we were looking at. And so it's, you mentioned that on the radio dial, what do they got? I don't know, a few dozen stations they can tune into there. With podcasts, there's, millions of them. And so people aren't just going to hit a dial and accidentally tune into your show. You've really got to get it out in front of them and find them. And by utilizing the algorithms on these other platforms where they take your content, decide who's going to be best for, and start presenting that and featuring it and up nexting it on their platform. That's really what you need to do to go out and grow an audience if you don't already have an existing audience. And we're seeing it work. So it's, I think that's really how people should be thinking. I got to get good content that's going to be engaging across all these platforms and then figure out how to get it out there.
Okay. With that said, now all my listeners are like, Charles, why should I do a podcast though? If that's the case, and there's so many podcasters out there, and Charles, you're always telling me to jump into action. Should people still start a podcast?
Podcasting is still very early days. Like, as you know, there's millions of podcasts out there published, but like truly active podcasters, there's like, 2 or 300,000. If you slice it, if you say like who's actually publishing regularly each month or each week. And the thing that gets me bullish on the podcasting space, and that makes me say that it's still very, very early days, is still quite small, is the listener to consumer ratio. If you look at like platforms like Twitter, I think they've got something like there's 70% lurkers and then like 30% are creators and consumers on the platform, something like some kind of breakdown like that. But if you look at podcasting, and I think TikTok is in a similar range, if you look at podcasting, it's like 99.5% consumers and like well under 1% of creators. And so there's a very outsized audience out there for the amount of people that are creating. And so there's still a lot of space.
Yeah, definitely. Because people are always saying, well, did I jump in too late? How do I start? But there's a lot of tools out there. Speaking of tools, before we get on this, I got to ask that question. AI tools for business to help you grow. You're loving it. You're scared about it. You're using it. Talk to us about it.
Oh yeah, I mean, overnight when ChatGPT came out with their whatever third version or whatever it was, that became a saying in our company. Like, I'll throw it at the machine. So yeah, I'll draft up a document, I'll throw it up the machine, and then we'll review afterwards, and or throw it at the bot or whatever it is. And yeah, it's just overnight it became something I think everybody's using, because it, quite frankly, saves you a lot of time and writes way better like marketing copy than I do, or at least gives you like a really great starting point on just like drafting documents and emails and stuff like that. And then, what we're using it internally for is we transcribe the content, and then we can send it to them and say, what's the most engaging part for an audience on YouTube?
Section. Right.
What's the most engaging part for an audience on TikTok? And then it can help with that. And then also, something else that we're excited about and we've seen pop up in other places is just automatically drafting your show notes for your podcast, automatically kind of doing some of that, because that's real busy work. And we're going to be launching stuff onto YouTube and helping it to kind of chapterize those sorts of things. Like, hey, why not use something that's really easy and saves you a ton of time? It makes sense to me. And am I worried about Skynet? Maybe, but not so much that I don't want the robots drafting my emails for me.
I think I watched that enough time to know how to get rid of them, right? You know what I mean? One of us has got to push the button, and one of us has got to sacrifice. But hey, we'll do that.
We'll need a time machine, that's all.
All right, let's have some more fun, my friend.
Now time for victory!
It's now time for pick 3. My friend, you get to ask yourself the last 3 questions before we let you go. I need 3 numbers from you, 1 to 10. Give me 3 numbers between 1 and 10.
Okay. 3, 5, 6.
3, 5, and 6. Okay. If you can follow anybody, past or present, for 48 hours, fly in the wall, their shadow, who would it be and why?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. The younger person in me would probably say like someone like Jim Morrison. Like, I used to be really big into the Doors and Jim Morrison and stuff like that. Now I'm maybe less interested. Now it probably would be like some sort of historical or political figure. I don't know. Jesus would be interesting, I suppose. But yeah, or like JFK. I don't know.
Just follow him around, find all the secrets, right?
Yeah.
All right. So give us 3 books or courses or anything that you've learned from and took that you think would be great for podcasters.
Great for podcasters.
Or it could be just great for learning for business wise.
Yeah, it's like there's not a lot of books around podcasting. I actually searched for this a while ago. That content tends to stay in the podcasting space. When I was first learning how to make websites, I came across this book called Head First HTML, than CSS, and I found that would be a really easy way to get into it, and that definitely helped kind of take me to that next level of being, capable on some of the stuff I was trying to do. This is maybe a little bit like played out at this point, but I also, when I was taking that leap from trying to be an employee into starting my own thing, I did read the 4-Hour Work Week, and just, that there's some hit and miss stuff in there, but that plus like watching Gary V videos of him just being like, you think you don't have time? You've got time. How much television you watching every day? Are you playing video games?
Go for it. Go for it. You can do it. Go for it.
Like that book and that content kind of helped me just say like, all right, I've got more energy I could put into this, and I'm going to do it. And then, another one that's less of like a self-help thing, but I got a lot of value from reading the Walter Isaacson biography on Steve Jobs. It's just, there's a lot to learn what to do and maybe what not to do from that guy, but no doubt he tapped into being a really creative, really innovative person, and just reading his story and learn about how he did and kind of his methods was really interesting.
It was really something different.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Ready? I think this is you right here. If you could have a superpower, what the superpower would be and why? First, before you answer that, Batman or Superman?
Oh, Batman's just way cooler. Like, I know he'd lose, but like Superman's too much of kind of a pretty boy kind of guy, I like Batman.
So then what would your superpower be and why?
Oh man, be a morning person. Morning man.
Listen, we haven't tapped on this, but what's with you and this morning thing? You can't get up in the morning, or what is it?
Oh man, ever since I was a kid, I've had a hard time like getting up for school. I used to get in trouble for tardiness, and they would tell me like, you're never gonna be able to hold a job. You're never gonna be able to make anything out of yourself if you don't learn to get up on time. And it's just been a point. And then I was like, and then I started my business, and then I was like, I'll prove them wrong. And then I have kids, and I'm like, oh well. That doesn't matter anymore. So the morning is an important time for business and for kids, and I just wish I was more up and at it at that point.
Well, everybody, look at him now. You said he wasn't going to do anything. The man is running a business for podcasters. Look at him now. All right, Josh, before we let you go, my friend, tell everybody why. Why should they jump on Zencastr, and how can Zencastr help them with their podcast?
Yeah, if you've got a podcast and you're looking to get all your tools consolidated and not have to jump between all these different tools and services, come check us out. If you haven't started yet and you just need a good starting point and have everything in one place so you don't have to figure out how to tie all these different tool chains together, come check us out. And if you don't have a podcast and you just want to start creating clips and distributing them to social, we've got a separate product for that called Zen.ai. Come check that out as well. We can help you find your audience wherever they're at.
And there it is. Listen, my friend, this has been fun to interview with you. Thanks for
I've had a great time
with us and having some fun with us. All right, everybody, listen, I keep telling you to jump. I keep telling you to do something different. Come out of your shell. Be the person that you want to be. This is the time for you. What are you waiting for? There is tools out there that can help you get to that next level. Hey, why not just try it? Take a mic, take a phone, take your cell phone, and just go for it. I think it's time for you to jump, everybody. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, hope you had a great time listening to the show. If you think I did a great job, please buy me a coffee. I still got a lot of work to do. We would love to hear from you, your feedback, so please click the link and leave us a review. You can help us grow by following us on all social media platforms and sharing this link. Once again, it's time for you to jump. Success is waiting.